Senator John Fetterman. Apparently, Joe Manchin is circulating a petition or legislation or something to reinstate a dress code in the Senate.
That'll get his poll numbers up.
That's just Manchin's, I don't know. It's unbelievable. But here's John Fetterman at a Senate Aging Committee hearing. They're also sort of, I guess, hearing from witnesses to the committee on essentially providing services to folks with some form of disabilities. Here is Fetterman talking about his increased empathy and understanding for what folks with disabilities deal with in the wake of his stroke, which made it harder for him to process language as he heard it.
Yeah, and this is in the context of, I think, like a National Review or some sort of conservative took a picture of Fetterman, and you could see through his pocket the transcription app working, and it was like a gotcha. Like, look at this guy needing this transcription app, despite him talking about this app in publications beforehand, that it helps him get over this stroke-related stuff.
Thank you for coming. And for me, it's been a very personal issue with me. And I'm going to show this, and then I'm going to describe this to others. This is my iPhone, and this is a transcription service that allows me to fully participate in this meeting and conversations with my children and interacting with my staff. I had a stroke about 18 months ago, and I have lost my ability to fully process language. And I like to think I was an empathetic person, truly. But until that happened, I've raised to a whole different kind of level as well. And it's profound to know now that I never really considered that without this kind of technology, I couldn't watch television. And I can't imagine if I didn't have this kind of a bridge to allow me to communicate with other people effectively. And because I live in a political environment, I was ridiculed and made fun of because I wasn't able to process things sometimes or say things. So I'm so sorry that I'm sure many of you had to go through this kind of thing. I was lucky that I was lucky to go through my life, the vast majority of that, with this kind of disability that I have. But again, I can't imagine and how the challenges, and I admire everyone that has to kind of live with these kind of struggles and prevail over them. And the questions that I have is really more of an open-ended kind of question to everyone on the panel. How can we become more empathetic, more responsive, and more effective senators to provide the kind of support and services that anyone in these communities deserve to be a citizen here in our nation? Mr. Westbrook.
Yeah, I think it just takes political will and the will to become accessible. It takes making it a priority, and just deciding that it's going to be a priority, like Ronza was saying earlier, and on the same level as security and privacy and all that kind of stuff. Accessibility just needs to be another part of doing business, as I mentioned in my testimony this morning. We wouldn't think about building a building without putting in a ramp, to get into the building now. But now we need to think about building websites and digital technologies to make them more accessible.
Thank you.
Pretty impressive. I mean, and
really moving.
It's good to see. I mean, this is just one more. Obviously, this was not Fetterman's plan. But this is why you want people from every type of community and every type of situated in every single way to be serving in any, in Congress, but in any sort of capacity that has some type of jurisdiction over policy or the way things happen, because you need people who have the ability to have genuine empathy. It would be nice if we didn't need to have experience all the sort of ills in the context of society, or the challenges that different people face, or the failure of society to address the needs of certain people as opposed to other people. That would be great. And if we didn't, but the fact is that it's good to have people who are sensitive to the challenges that other people are facing for this very reason.
If only every senator had some sort of was taking some sort of compensatory measures to make sure that they're empathetic enough. I see so much of the comments about this are this guy's a senator and he can't process language. You can't process the way things here because he had a stroke, but he's compensating for it with that so he can read things live, and that is puts him above pretty much most senators in far of caring about the people that he's actually representing, and I think that's a really good representation of it.
The people that are mocking him, this is not, it didn't work in the election. Right. Oz tried to go there slightly, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't even remember the specifics of it. I probably just blocked it out of my brain because it was so
He made
disgusting.
fun of his heart attack.
Or the stroke.
Yeah, the stroke.
No,
He said I can't remember what he said, but he
said he wouldn't
heart-related
he
thing.
wouldn't have had as many medical ailments if he had eaten
better.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and we said it at the time. This is not the kind of thing that's gonna everyone in their life has somebody that's had a heart attack or had a stroke or who has had a difficult health problem that they've had a long period of recovery from, and then the disability angle here, I thought it was really wonderful that he opened up, and also opened up about the fact that the mockery is hurtful to him too, even though he's this big 6'7", 6'8" guy. His feelings are hurt by this, and empathy and that kind of vision for the world is just always going to be much more attractive to people than whatever the hell the Republicans are doing about him, saying he has a body double or whatever that nonsense
it's really
is.
nuts.
They have no way or saying he needs to dress better or something. It's pathetic. And it gives me hope that I do feel that more people are going to be responsive to this than are not.
He also seems to be more fluid with the help of the speech and with the help of the app. We should also say the guy giving testimony, Chris Westbrook, was an accessibility engineer from Pennsylvania. So works with essentially, like he said, the sort of the functional equivalent of on-ramps and elevators and reduce curbs in terms of the physical spaces that people need to traverse. It does a similar thing with sort of the online world.
But by the way, that's an example. The fact that we do in many, not enough, but in many public spaces, we have requirements for accessibility for people in wheelchairs and things like that. That's an example of government regulation and standards working in society. And I feel like a lot of people just take for granted that there are ramps to go places, or that there are showers at gyms where you can use a wheelchair in those showers. But that is because we made that decision as a society to do those things. And we can make those choices for a bunch of other groups that need more protection. And I think, conservatives are more able to empathize, at least some of them, with somebody who may have a disability because they may have someone in their family. But we should do this for all protected groups in a variety of different contexts.
Professional dumpster fire. My dad was a special ed guidance counselor, and I got to see up close how accessibility affects people. Sometimes we'd have to pick up kids in their homes because the special ed bus came super early, and it was difficult for families to get the kids to go to work. This stuff always hits me hard about making our communities more accessible. I know a lot of people will think Fetterman is playing political points game, but honestly, it's really nice to see this on Capitol Hill instead of the normal vitriol. Kelly Square Rotary, I had a stroke 2 years ago, and while I'm physically fine, I'm now afflicted with aphasia. I'm still the same person, but I have trouble speaking. To hear the way that people have talked about Fetterman is disgusting, not only for him, but for anybody else with a disability that is now made to feel like they're less than.
It's so despicable. And like, I think Fetterman being able to like demonstrate like how people could function even at senatorial level with these is really important.
Yeah.
Sam's neckbeard regarding Fetterman, he's not cognitively impaired. Are these people going to mock Stephen Hawking's too?
Oh, they do.
Yes.
Yeah.
No space for hate. John Fetterman is inspiring. As someone recently diagnosed with ADHD, I can relate to him. I struggled all my life because I was undiagnosed. Now that I know what's wrong, I know what can help me. Also, menopause made it all worse. Anyway, make life easier for those with disabilities is actually way easier than we think. Some of the best technologies for accessibility have come from the blind community, such as my dad's best friend who was born blind, but was successful in university and one of the best oldies DJs I know.